So the force the vote debate is still raging on the left. For those of you who might not remember, Jimmy Dore, YouTuber, political commentator, he came up with this plan because currently the Democrats lost seats. They lost seats in the majority that they had in the House. So now the majority between the Democrats and the Republicans is even smaller than it was before. It might be down to 5 to 8 seats. And because of that, progressives, the people who don't take corporate PAC money, like the Justice Democrats, the people who run on left policies like Medicare for All and ending the wars and tuition-free college and stuff like that, those elected progressives, now they have more than enough votes among themselves to remove Nancy Pelosi from Speaker. They can say, we under no circumstances we're going to vote for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker, and whoever the next Speaker of the House is going to be, they need to meet our demands. And the demands with force of vote are the next Speaker needs to call for a recorded vote on the floor of the House on Medicare for All, or you're not going to get our votes to be Speaker. The left felt all in despair and felt like we would never have power in government after Bernie Sanders lost in the primary this year. Well, now, seemingly out of nowhere, the left is presented with a situation, a scenario where the progressives in Congress literally have veto power over who's going to be Speaker of the House. And they can deny the speakership to anybody they want to. Like I said, Nancy Pelosi should just, under no circumstances should they vote for her. But also, they can get policies in return for their vote. So they have tremendous leverage in the situation to move the Overton window and to get us closer to the policies that they claim they support. So that's what force the vote is about. You guys already know how I feel about the elected progressives. They're all frauds. They're all sellouts. None of them are actually fighting for us. They just pay a bunch of lip service to policies that they know are popular and will get them a round of applause on Twitter or on Instagram Live or whatever. But none of them are really about it. None of them actually mean the shit that they say. They aren't trying to bring a revolution. They're defending the status quo. That's how I feel about them. But during this whole force the vote debate, they've had to show their ass and basically expose that this is how they actually are operating to the public. Because now people are asking them, hey, why aren't you leveraging your vote for Speaker to get something out of Nancy Pelosi? Why aren't you leveraging your vote to force Nancy Pelosi out? She's the embodiment, the representation, the head of the neoliberal establishment that you claim to be doing a hostile takeover of the party from. You claim to be trying to run out the establishment. Nancy Pelosi represents that establishment. So you have the numbers to force her out, and you guys aren't getting behind that? How does that make sense? So they've been getting a bunch of pressure online about this. AOC has really been the only one to directly engage in the argument, and I like I mentioned in the video before, her answer was shit. Gaslighting, giving people the runaround, and in a stunning turn of events, the person who made such a big deal about Medicare for All at a time when we need it the most and we have the best opportunity to get a floor vote on it. Now AOC is coming out here doing bullshit, giving bullshit excuses for why we shouldn't force a vote for Medicare for All on the floor of the House in the middle of a goddamn pandemic and economic depression. So tremendous disappointment all the way around for all the elected progressives. And I know there's some talk about Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman because they were asked by Dana Bash on CNN whether or not they're going to vote for Nancy Pelosi, and they were being all coy and tap dancing and they wouldn't say yes or no. I don't have any faith in them either. I think they're going to end up voting for Pelosi, because if they weren't going to vote for Pelosi, they would have said it already. You get nothing by keeping it quiet, keeping it secret. If you had demands and you wanted to make those demands public and use public pressure to force Nancy Pelosi and force whoever the Speaker of the House is going to be to meet those demands, then you'd already say what the plan is, what the strategy is, that I'm not voting for them unless we get a floor vote for Medicare for all. So people are getting very excited and thinking that Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman are going to lead the charge. They aren't either. But Nina Turner was asked about this, and her answer was very not good, for lack of better words. It was very not good. It confirmed a lot of the reservations that I had about her running in the Democratic Party. Her answer confirmed a lot of those doubts for me, and it was just stunningly bad, and it kept getting worse. So I have the clip, but first, you guys already know the deal. I love doing the show for you guys. I love for this to be the main thing that I do. So if you're able to contribute to the show financially, I have a link to my Patreon account in the About page of the YouTube channel. You can sign up and do a monthly subscription. I have different price levels. And also, if you feel more comfortable doing a one-time contribution, I have a link to PayPal in the About page of my YouTube channel. And like I said, I'm incredibly grateful for all the people in my audience, not just the people who contribute financially, but the people who just watch the videos, people who subscribe, people who comment, leave great comments. So I know I haven't been great with my audience interaction lately, so I'm trying to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to pick a random comment from a video and respond to that comment at the end of this video. And I'm gonna try to do that at least once a week. We'll see how it goes, maybe more than that. And you guys let me know what you think about that. Now back to this story about Nina Turner. So I have the clip. It was on from the interview she did with Brianna Joy Gray on the Bad Faith podcast. I have the clip. Good God, it was bad. I'm going to split it up into two parts. The first part, maybe like a 30-second clip, and I have some comments to add to that. That's why I'm breaking it up separately from the other part. But the second half of the video, which is about like 3.5 minutes long, that just keeps getting progressively worse, and I have a lot to say about that. So I'm going to play the first clip, and then I'm come back and break it down.
You do notice that there's a lot of brouhaha online right now about this question of whether or not the small progressive cohort in the House should use its leverage in this moment to try to extract a concession out of Nancy Pelosi. Namely, people are asking for her to bring a Medicare for all to a floor vote. There's some other asks that people have brought up that I think are smart. David Sroda, our colleague, has mentioned getting rid of Richard Neal from the Ways and Means Committee, getting rid of PAYGO, other things that would help to progress and advance a progressive agenda. Right now, there hasn't been any buy-in from any progressive members at the House. What's your read on that situation?
I'm not there right now, so far be it for me to second guess what decisions are being made, what the Progressive Caucus is talking about, what the squad is talking about. I want to necessarily, because I'm not there, I'm not going to, I don't want to malign them, I guess. I'm trying to put this in a way that...
Sure.
Come on. I know a lot of people in my audience love Nina Turner. I like Nina Turner too. Think she's a great inspirational figure on the left. But let's be real. Feelings aside, personal relationships aside, that was bullshit. That was a weak-ass answer. And it confirmed the doubts that I have about her running in the Democratic Party. Because one of the main issues that we've seen with these elected progressives is this mindset that I'm a team player and I'm not going to put the people that I associate with on blast, even if they're wrong. I'm not going to put them on blast. I can't speak for them because I'm not in their position. So this is a kind of an important moment, but I'm not going to criticize them because they're my friends, they're my allies. And the fact that Nina Turner, and everybody, two things, everybody was saying, oh, isn't it so wonderful, Nina Turner, unapologetic, fire breather, she's not backing down and she's not mincing words for anybody, and she's going to go to Congress and she's going to tell the squad and she's going to tell the Democratic Party what's up, and she's going to tell it how it is, and whoever don't like it, they can kick rocks. Everybody was saying, oh, that's why we need to go and support Nina Turner, because she's going to come in and she's going to take charge and she's going to call out the squad and she's going to get them to fall in line and actually fight for the left. That's not what that clip showed me. What that showed me was, oh, these are my friends, and everybody's kind of shitting on them right now. I can't come up with an actual defense of them, so I'm gonna pull the card, oh, I'm not in their shoes. Wow, you're not in their shoes, so you can't criticize them. So I guess you can't criticize any politician. Nobody can criticize any politician because we're not in any of their shoes. So I thought that was a weak answer. But like I said, that wasn't even the most offensive part of the interview or of the clip. It gets way worse than that. So I'm going to show you the other 3.5 minutes of it, and I'm coming back and break it down.
Put this in a way that...
Sure, but not a commentary on what their choices were, but can you give some insight into what your thinking would be about this process? Because it seems in a lot of ways that the crucial question is, is there a willingness to go up against your own party's leadership? Is there a willingness to be critical of one's own party's leadership? Someone like Senator Sanders, obviously, as an independent, has kind of set himself apart and made himself very willing to be oppositional at certain points in his career, sometimes more so than other times. But do you see yourself as someone who would be willing to call out leadership and be oppositional in that way, as opposed to kind of putting quote unquote party first?
I've shown myself already to be willing to do that. Throughout my career, I've bumped up against the Democratic Party. I bump up against this party because I care. Some people want to question whether I'm a Democrat. Just because, working with somebody doesn't mean you're going to acquiesce to them. There is a difference. And so the progressives have to set themselves apart. Why are we being called progressives if we're not going to stand up for the people? It's really simple. The quote Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. Progressives are standing in that ready position to help to deliver an America as good as its promise. So whether it's now or soon, and that's why I'm trying not to second guess them, because I don't know what's going into their thinking. I don't want people to give up on them just because they might not necessarily be answering that call right this minute. There's still time to push neoliberals and more moderates to do the right thing. And when the Progressive Caucus decides to do that, we must ready ourselves to know that when you make a demand, there has to be a consequence to that demand. And I think that's what people out on the activist side is saying: make the demand and then make sure that there's a consequence for it. God, I don't even necessarily want to say be patient, because, even Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said wait almost means never. It's just I'm trying to be strategic in what I'm saying, not in terms of being misinterpreted, but just because I have served inside bodies before. And a lot of times what people think they know, they don't really know. That's why I'm trying to just kind of be a little more open to what may or may not be happening. But there is going to come a point. To answer your question directly, I have proven myself to bump against even county reform in Cuyahoga County and Bridget. I don't even know if you remember that or not, but that was something that the Democratic Party did not support. We had corruption in Cuyahoga County at the hands of Democrats, and the people wanted to see something different. And I bumped up against the party. I bumped up against even leaders in the Black community on this, and the issue passed. So that is by way of example. I do not shrink from standing up when I think is right and good, what I think is in the best interest of people. And that will not change if or when, I want to say when I get to Congress. But I do want people that just have a little more mercy, not necessarily wait in the sense of you need to wait a long time, but just to have a little more patience. And let's see what's going to happen moving forward. But the reason why we need activists out there is to push elected officials. That's what we need. We need the grassroots making the.
I don't know if you missed it right there. Let me quote the great Nina Turner. She says, "Quote: I don't want people to give up on them because they're not answering the call right this minute, at this moment, because there's still time to push neoliberals and moderates to do the right thing." I never in my life thought that I'd be breaking down a Nina Turner answer in an interview, breaking down a quote from Nina Turner where she is telling people, wait, don't get too angry at these politicians. I know it looks like they're doing nothing for you right now. Oh, but just wait, fingers crossed, there will be more time down the road for them to do the right thing. No, actually, we're out of time. We've been out of time. We were out of time before COVID started. We were out of time when the pandemic hit 9 months ago. We're out of time now. 60 million people have lost their jobs this year. Half of those people were denied unemployment. Millions of them never even got any stimulus checks. 60% of businesses that closed because of COVID closed permanently. 40 million people are facing eviction. People are out of time. There is no more time. So if we're presented with a dream scenario where the people who purport to be fighting for the working class in Congress, that's what their whole shtick, that's the whole grift to get elected. They're fighting for the working class. Okay, well now you're in Congress and I don't want to hear any more of the bullshit excuse, we don't have the numbers to do X, Y, and Z. Well, hold up now. Now you have the numbers to have veto power over who's going to be the Speaker of the House. You're presented with an opportunity to take out a head neoliberal and also you get to decide who the next speaker is, and you get to make policy demands. You get to demand floor votes, committee assignments, anything you want, you can demand for your vote in order to see the Speaker of the House. You are presented with immense leverage at this moment. More leverage to get what you want than I can imagine you'd ever get in the next 2 years, maybe even longer than that. Because the stars align and it gave progressives the majority got so small in the House that progressives can run the show if they had the spine, if they had the backbone. And you need to turn and then come out here and tell me, oh yeah, sure, they're not actually fighting in the moment that it matters the most. After they folded at every other consequential moment, this moment where they have immense leverage, they're gonna fold again and not do anything, but don't get mad at them because they might be able to do something later. All the people who are gonna die because they can't afford healthcare, because they can't afford their insulin, because they can't afford whatever treatment. It was already 60,000 people dying every year in this country because they couldn't afford basic healthcare. All those people, and then the 60,000 people more who's going to die next year, and 60,000 more people going to die after that. Oh, and all your families, don't get mad at the progressives who had a chance to fight for Medicare for all and didn't, because they might be able to do the right thing later on. This is literally an argument for incrementalism. And it's coming from Nina Turner on such an important issue, on such a defining moment as this forced vote. Nina Turner is going to come out here and tell you, oh, it's okay if progressives give that up too. It's okay if they roll over on this. Just like it was okay for them to roll over and show for Joe Biden, chief architect of neoliberalism, who's going to install the worst of the worst ghouls in government from the Bush to the Obama administrations. He's going to bring them all right back. It was okay for them to roll over and show for Joe Biden because there was some excuse for it. Oh, we can't hold it against them for that. Or before that, it was Bernie conceding in a race where he's presented with a deadly pandemic and a opponent who's going around telling people he would veto Medicare for all. If Bernie Sanders wanted to turn up the heat and really expose Joe Biden, he could have done that. But he didn't. He folded again, gave up the leverage that this movement had. And we're not supposed to hold that against them either, because we could fight another time. With the CARES Act, largest upward transfer of wealth, biggest corporate bailout heist in history. All the progressives rolled over on that, got nothing. They got nothing. The only thing that was in there was the cheese and trap that corporate Democrats put in there. Progressives didn't even put it in there. So they all went along with the worst corporate bailout in history, got nothing for it, got no UBI, got no eviction ban, got no Medicare for all, got no healthcare in the pandemic. They squandered the leverage that they had to get anything for the people, to bail the people out during the CARES Act. And they're going to do the same thing again when it comes to this race for Speaker of the House. They're going to roll over and vote for Nancy Pelosi and get not a goddamn thing. And still, we're not supposed to be mad at them. We're not supposed to hold it against them. I've been hearing a lot of people saying, oh, we can't be mad at them. They're just our allies. They have with bad strategy, yada, yada, yada. We can't be too mad at these elected progressives. They mean well. They have good intention. I keep hearing this. And the thought that runs through my mind every time is failure is also, that's a disqualifying factor. You don't get to have the support of the left to keep putting you in Congress to be one of the most powerful people in the world just because you mean well. You get that support from the left because they're expecting you to deliver. And if you don't deliver, you need to be held accountable for that. And there is no accountability for these elected progressives. They can squander every single moment that they have to fight for the policies that they claim to support. And still, we're supposed to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're still supposed to shrug our shoulders while millions of people are being evicted. We're supposed to shrug our shoulders while thousands and thousands of people line up outside of food banks every single day. And we're not supposed to be too hard on them, even though they have failed to get wins on their agenda, not because it's impossible, but because they refuse to fight. And we're not supposed to be too hard on them. You're a public official. You are not entitled to that position. You aren't entitled to be a congressperson. So yes, it's good that you have good intentions. It's good that you pay lip service to the right policies. That's great. But that's not all the qualifications you need or you should have to be a congressperson, that you should have to be a leader in the left movement. How about results? Results should be up there too. And if you fail to get any results, like I said, not because it's impossible, because you refuse to fight, okay, you're an obstacle and you're part of the problem and you shouldn't be there. I don't know why it's so hard for people on the left to understand. And then at one point, she tried to hit you with people think that they know how it works to be inside of a legislative body, but they don't know. Okay, granted, sure, there's some things of course, that we don't know because we're not there every single day. Sure, granted. But that has nothing to do with forced to vote. What we all know is not in dispute. And what we know is they have the votes to deny Nancy Pelosi the speakership. They have the votes to deny anybody the speakership unless they meet the demand of a Medicare for all floor vote. That's not up in the air. That's not up for debate. Those are concrete facts. So this whole, you have to be there to know the whole process. So I don't want people to be talking about something and they don't really know. That's all bullshit. Because what we know is like I said, it's not up for debate. It's not being disputed. Those are all facts. The only thing is, are they actually going to use the leverage that they have to get the policies that they claim that they want? That's the only question here. So this whole, oh, you guys, the plebs, you simple folk, you don't understand the inner workings of Congress. So we can't judge them too harshly. I mean, that's really pathetic. And Nina Turner was sounding like a regular ass shifty politician in this interview. And hey, people gonna hear this. They're not gonna like it. Some people gonna fire my ear up in the comment section. Okay, go at it. But let's be objective about how that looked. And if this is any indication of how she's going to act in Congress, people need to stop getting their hopes up and stop relying on politicians and expecting them to go in there and change the entire system and shake things up and turn things upside down, because all the evidence we have shows that's not the case. All the evidence shows that's not going to happen. Look what happened with AOC. Look what happened with Ilhan Omar. Look what happened with Tulsi Gabbard. Look what happened with Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders. You do not change the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party changes you. They have all become more conservative since they've been there. They've all toed the party line more and more since they've been there. And there is no evidence that Nina Turner is immune from this. There isn't. I'm sorry, she's a firebrand. Like they all were. But what she showed in this interview, before she's even elected, before she's even in Congress, is that there are some lines that she's not willing to cross, and she's not willing to make some people uncomfortable, even when they deserve it, because of personal relationships. And if that's how she's going to go into this, don't be surprised if 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, she starts sounding like AOC and the rest of the Justice Democrats. All right, so the question that I want to read today, the comment that I want to respond to today is one from Emblem Fate on the video I did about Jimmy Dore and this whole AOC Medicare for All forced to vote thing on Twitter. And the comment from Emblem Fate is, quote, AOC keeps telling us we have to wait. JFK was pushing for Medicare for All before he was killed. We have the power we've been waiting for hundreds of years. And so my response to this is, you're correct. And I think that anybody who wants to tell us now isn't the time, if you don't immediately follow that, if that is not attached to the hip with a concrete explanation and timeline of exactly when the right time is and how we get there, I'm going to assume you're full of shit and you are just misdirecting people and you're running interference for the establishment to defend the status quo because you don't actually want to vote on Medicare for All. That's going to be my assumption. Because look how long it's been. Other countries in Europe have had single payer since World War II. Politicians in this country have been fighting to get a Medicare for All for decades. Do you think if JFK had the power to demand a Medicare for All floor vote, he would pass it up, whether he thought it would pass or not, whether he thought he had the votes or not? You think he would have passed up an opportunity to publicly make the case and have a knockdown drag out fight as to why people should have health care? Why single payer is the best option? And then, of course, you have the added context of where we're in now, a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic and the worst economic crisis in history. There is no better time to make the argument. You have no more leverage. You will never have any more leverage than when they need to seat the Speaker of the House. And if you aren't willing to fight for it now, my guess is you're never going to fight for it. You're always going to kick the can down the road and always going to have some excuse.